Hey friends, welcome back. It has been a long time since I posted a video. It was an extremely busy but good summer for us, but I'm ready to get back into the swing of things. Today I wanted to show you how I did with my Less is More in 24 Decluttering Challenge over the summer. I want to show you what I got rid of, and hopefully that will give you some ideas of some things that maybe you have hanging around your house that you can get rid of as well. Let's jump into it. I'm not sure the best way to show you these things, but I'm going to start with this big box. This is the fullest of what we have here. So one thing I did this summer that I didn't really love, but it helped me keep up on my decluttering, was I kept this box in my bedroom right by my dresser where I could see it and remember to keep up on decluttering. It was not pretty. It was such an eyesore, and my husband kept asking, when are we going to take that to the donation center? But I knew that if I didn't have it right there, that I would be tempted to forget about decluttering. So next summer I may try something different, like a daily reminder or something like that. But if it's any consolation for you, I still need that reminder sometimes too. There's a lot of random stuff in these boxes, and I'm not going to show you every single item, but I will hit on some of the highlights, hit on some of the lessons that I learned from decluttering some of the stuff, and also some of the things that are important to note. Okay, we do have a lot of random kid things in here. My kids did a lot of decluttering this summer. I will do a video about that, but my kids have gotten really good at helping declutter, and I love that because helping my kids learn to declutter has been a really good life lesson for them in loving what you have, taking care of what you have, choosing wisely what you surround yourself with, and really not letting yourself get distracted with a ton of random crap. So there's a lot more eloquent lessons that can be learned, but that's just some of the ones that I have found helpful. So a lot of this stuff is kid stuff. So this is one that I do want to talk about. This is a Gray Away Instant Root Cover Up. This is a spray that you spray to cover your roots or cover your grays. Currently I use the Gray Away stick where I can target specific gray hairs. I don't have a ton of grays, but I have enough that I'm a little self-conscious about it. So I have loved the stick, and so I thought, if the stick is good, the spray's got to be better. I hated it. I tried it a few times, gave it a fair chance, and I found that it didn't make as big of a difference as I was hoping, and it made my hair feel really greasy, and it was kind of hard to wash out. So I kept this around for a month or two past when I decided I just didn't like it. And I recently just decided I'm not going to like it anymore. I even gave it another try, and I still don't like it. So this is something that has lived under my counter in my bathroom, and that's pretty prime real estate. I don't want to have a lot of stuff in there, especially stuff that I know I'm not going to use. So this is going. Old instruction manuals. It's a basic remote. It's almost foolproof. Old school supplies. Things that my kids brought home. This binder was my daughter's, and she doesn't need it anymore. More school supplies. Drawer organizers that we don't need anymore. Okay, this one is one that this has been really a meaningful lesson for me to learn through decluttering. This book my son got from, I think he got it from school. It was a free book, and he read it and he really enjoyed it. And when we were doing some decluttering, I asked him, is this a book that you want to read again? And he said, well, yeah, maybe someday. And I said, is it worth keeping it if I tell you that we can check it out at the library pretty much anytime you want to read it again? And obviously I was not going to strong arm him and make him declutter it if he did not want to get rid of it. That is one thing that I try really hard not to do, because I really believe it will create an aversion to decluttering, and it will cause the opposite effect of acquiring and hoarding. So I try really hard with my kids to encourage, but not to strong arm. So he, after some thought, he decided that this is something that, since he knew he could get it at the library again, that he would get rid of it. And this was towards the beginning of the summer. He has not missed it. He's not asked about it. He has not asked to get it at the library. One thing with books is I try really hard to cultivate a love of reading. I think that is such an important lifelong skill. My mom took my siblings and I to the library very regularly when we were kids, and we all love reading, and I'm convinced that it's a result of that. And so I have learned with decluttering that just because I may not own a huge selection of books does not mean that we love reading any less than someone else who has an expansive home library. So with my kids, I make sure we do have some books, but we don't acquire very many anymore. Like my kids bring in some from school or the summer reading program through our library or whatever. So we do have books that we own, but we go to the public library at least once a month, and my kids love it. They love the experience of going to the library. They love bringing home new books. So I've tried really hard to build a positive experience around books and reading and going to the library. So this is something that I have no intention of not having any books in the house, but I do not acquire them the same way I once did. Old notebooks and sketch pads, stained shirts. These are some that I wouldn't feel comfortable passing on to anybody because they're really bad. Books, again, my kids got this one at I think it was at their school library. They were getting rid of books and the kids could take them for free, and we're getting rid of the ones that were fun to look through, and then my kids decided that they were done. A book that my son didn't like. He got this for free through the library, and he looked through it and was really unimpressed, and this is one that went into the declutter bin pretty quickly. Turns out he doesn't want to keep a book about otters. But this is what I was talking about earlier with kids and decluttering, is he recognized this was a fun book to look through. I don't want to take up space with keeping this. It's not something I want to look through again, so I'm going to let it go. And that is a valuable lesson that he's learned from decluttering. Another instruction manual. This is for my DSLR. I have not used this, and I actually forgot I had it, but I could look up a question about my camera online faster than I could look it up in here. Excess art supplies. We're going to pass these on, and someone else can enjoy these. An embroidery kit. I was really excited about this. I grew up watching my grandma embroider. She did a lot of things like that, and she was really, really talented at it. I work with the teenage girls in my church, and they decided that this is one thing that they wanted to learn to do together. So we had someone come in that is experienced at embroidering, and each of the girls got a kit, and she taught us how to do it and walked us through it. And it was really fun. And coming home, I thought, oh, I'm going to finish this. I think a lot of it was nostalgia for me because it reminded me of my grandma. But after a while, this was just sitting around. It was in my drawer. It was just kind of one of those things that you see and you're like, I really need to get to. And those are the things that I'm just going to be honest, I hate having them around because they tend to mock you. They tend to remind you of, you're not very good at that, or you should be doing that. That's how you should be spending your time. Or, oh, you chose to do this instead. You should have been doing this. I did a little bit of it. But at this point in my life, it's not how I want to spend my limited time. So I'm going to pass it on and someone else can pick it up and enjoy it. A random diaper. My son has been out of diapers for almost a year, and this one was unused, sitting at the very top of his closet shelf. And it made me think, what else is lurking on the top of the closet shelves? So if you haven't checked your closet shelves lately, you may want to see what you have lurking up there as well. A crib sheet, toddler bed sheet, and recently my 4-year-old got a big boy bed. So he has a twin size mattress, so we don't have any need for this in our house anymore. And the reason why I wanted to point this out, because first of all, we had more than just this, and I decluttered them a while ago, so this is one that I had somehow fallen through the cracks. The thing about this that I wanted to point out is when I bought my older kids their beds, it was before we had minimized anything. So I bought them each 2 sets of sheets. I regretted it once we started minimizing, but I felt like I would just hang on to them just in case. If you remember back in February, I believe it was, or March, I decluttered the top sheet for all of our sheet sets for my kids. But I realized that 4 sheet sets is ample for my 3 kids. So in the event that maybe someone is sick or whatever, we still have an extra one, which we probably don't even really need because when I do wash sheets, I do it the same day. Wash them, put them back on for each bed. This was a true declutter. It wasn't a replacement. It was a true declutter because I did not buy any more sheets for my 4-year-old for his bed. I just used one of the sets that we already had. So I wanted to point that out. This is another one that tripped me up for a long time. I have had this for probably 7 years, 6 years maybe. When my oldest was 2, I got the same book and I went through and I put pictures of him and my husband doing the things that they're doing in this book. So he plays with me, and then it was a picture of my son and my husband. And my son loved it, and it was super cute. And I thought, I'm going to do this with all my kids. And so when my daughter was tiny, I bought this book. And I was kind of waiting for her to be old enough to where we'd have enough pictures. I didn't want it all to be, baby pictures. And so I was waiting for us to be old enough. Life gets crazy. So it's just something that I never got around to. And I would always see this and think, oh, I should do that for her the way I did for my son. And every time I would see it, I would think that. And I would just think like, oh, I need to find the pictures. I need to get the pictures together. I need to get the pictures printed, all these different things. And I never got around to it. My daughter just turned 7, and I think the time for this book has passed. And I feel bad because as a little girl, she probably would have really loved it. I think at this point, she would just care to look at the pictures. And I do regret not doing it for her. And I thought about doing this for my son, but he's 4. And I mean, he may still enjoy it. He probably would. But I didn't do it for my daughter, and I don't want her to feel bad. And so you can kind of see how busy my mind is sometimes. But I'm going to let this go. It's a brand new book, and someone else at the donation center can enjoy a really cute book, or they can decide to do what I was going to do. But regardless, I am getting it out of my house because the things that we intend to do but never get around to, we usually don't get around to just by keeping them. So I could keep this around another 10 years and I probably still wouldn't get around to it. So passing it on, getting rid of it, not only do you get rid of the physical item, but I get rid of the mental load that this puts on my mind. Mentally, this weighed on me a lot every time I saw it. So getting rid of this feels really good. Another item I want to touch on, this is kind of a weird one, but I got my daughter new underwear for school this year. And this was a pack of 13. And I kept 9 pairs. I do laundry once a week, so that's going to be more than what she'll go through in a week. But regardless, I didn't need those 4 extra pairs. So I texted on my neighborhood group thread and I said, does anybody need 4 pairs of girls' underwear in this size? Brand new, unused, unworn. Does anybody want it? And one of my neighbors said, yes, I would love that. That would fit my daughter perfectly. And so the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because sometimes we feel like, I can't get rid of just a few, or what if she needs it, or that'll be weird to ask people if they want it. Honestly, my neighbor was thrilled because that's 4 less pairs of underwear that she has to buy. And my daughter doesn't need 13 pairs of underwear kicking around either. She's not going to need that many. If you're looking for something to declutter today, this may be a good thing. Not underwear, unless you have extra underwear, but things that came in a pack that had more than maybe what you needed. And to be fair, I knew I wanted this brand, but I also tried to find the lowest count that I could in the style that I wanted. And this was the lowest count that I could find. So be aware of things that come in bigger quantities than what you needed, or an item that comes with extra accessories that you don't need, or parts that you're never going to use, or whatever. Those things often trip us up and lead to excess clutter. Another one I wanted to mention, my kids have these workbooks at school. Their teachers send them home graciously. They send us multiple to work on during the summer. I have found through trial and error, or having these in my house and having them create clutter, my kids do not want to do the same things during the summer that they've been doing all school year. So I still put a high value on learning. I do want my kids to still continue to learn and progress. Maybe for someone who's not spent the school year doing it, this would be a good option. So I buy them each one activity and learning book at the beginning of the summer, and they work on it as much as we have time for. And then after that, we let them go. So I have learned when stuff like this comes home from school, that's great. I really appreciate the teachers. This is something that is not going to get used in my house. So we're going to donate it, and hopefully someone at the donation center may need it. I swear these multiply. I don't know if you have that same problem at your house. They just seem to show up and stick around, and you really only need so many of them. This is something, if you're looking for something easy and quick to declutter today, you may have some of these that you can part with. This, I'll admit, was a little bittersweet. This is my diaper bag. I used this for 2 of my kids, and I think it is It's a little dirty, but I think it's so pretty. And enough that I thought maybe I will cut out the center, like this net stuff where you're supposed to put diapers, and just make it like my church bag or something. And I realized that someone else can pick this up from the donation center, and it's still got a lot of life left in it. And it needs obviously some cleaning, but this is still a really good diaper bag. And I realized I have a purse that I've had for years that I could use as a church bag. So this is something I'm going to send off instead of try to keep. We have this bag. A lot of this is my kids' outgrown clothes. Some of it is some hand-me-downs that we were given that didn't quite work out. The point I want to make with this is obviously if I'm getting rid of my kids' clothes, they need new clothes, right? But what I noticed with, especially with my youngest, is that when my oldest was wearing the clothes that he's in now, we had way too many. I loved variety back then, but I have realized since decluttering and really, really skimming back on what we purchase and what we own, I have found that kids don't really need as many clothes as we sometimes think they do. So a lot of these clothes are clothes that my oldest son used that we had way too many of. And so we have really skimmed back because we really do need less. But I also had a bag almost, well, probably 2/3 as full of my son's 3T clothes that I was able to pass on to a friend that she can use them for her son. I love being able to give something to someone that they can put to good use. Before I end the video, I want to just put in another plug for my Less is More in 24 decluttering challenge. This challenge has done more for me than I ever thought possible. At the beginning of the year when I had the idea to do this, I honestly thought, for someone like me who has already decluttered a ton, what is this going to do? And this is what it has done for me. It helped me get all of this stuff out of my house this summer. It helped me so that this stuff is not still floating around creating clutter. But I want you to consider, if you are new to decluttering, if you have been decluttering for years, to just consider doing this challenge. We only have about 3 months of the year left. And at this point, that doesn't seem like a lot. It seems like the holidays are coming up, but you can still make such a big impact. This was about 3 months worth, and it made a huge impact in my home. The thing that I love about this challenge, looking at this and seeing how much we decluttered over the summer, I'm just now realizing this challenge is really great for busy seasons of your life. Our summer was packed with all good things, but it was so busy that I didn't have time to go through and do a whole house declutter. I didn't have the time. And to be honest, it's sometimes hard to find the desire to do a whole house declutter. So this, doing one item every single day, a lot of times it did end up being more than one item. For the times that we were traveling and we weren't here, sometimes I had done more, and so it evened out, and so it averaged out to about one item per day. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it gave you some ideas, but I also hope it gives you a new motivation to keep decluttering. Just do one item a day. Just see what you can tackle every single day and shoot for that one item. I promise you it will make a big difference. Thanks for watching, friends. I'll see you in my next video.